October the 18th, ink caps. Ink caps are a group of mushrooms which seem to suddenly appear, produce a cap, which then slowly retreats back, dripping ink as it does so, and shortly after, just as suddenly, disappears. They nearly always have white or brown caps, which are usually delicately furrowed or pleated. Often they are covered in a white powder or perhaps shiny scales. Some grow so fast at night, their caps have already deliquesced to ink at the approach of dawn. The ink they drip is the usual method by which they disperse their spores. In the past, it was boiled with or without cloves to produce a writing ink, and phenol was sometimes added as a preservative. In London, we tend to just notice a small group of the larger, more showy ink caps. There are, however, a much larger collection of smaller species, which are much more difficult to identify in the field and often show a marked preference for dung or well-manured gardens. The lawyer's wig, Coprinus comatus, is the most familiar of all. It is often noticed growing up between pavement slabs, rising to 20 centimeters in height before the edge of its cap dissolves, leaving its bottom edge slightly curled upwards, not unlike a lawyer's wig. It is so well known it has the rare privilege among fungi of having other common names, such as shaggy mane and inky cap. It is usually found in small groups where people pick the youngest, all-white specimens to eat. Unfortunately, by the time they reach the kitchen, they are often already inedible, as the cap may have already turned black with ink. The other large, widespread ink cap is the common ink cap, Coprinus atramentarius. This is a tawny brown compared with the chalky white of the lawyer's wig, and tends to be found on dead wood. Its main claim to fame is what happens to you if you consume it with alcohol. Your face, neck, and arms start tingling and turn an alarming purple red. You then get a metallic taste in the mouth, as well as a headache. This then moves on to nausea and possibly palpitations. It can all start to happen in less than 5 minutes after ingestion and continue for up to 8 days, depending on how much ink cap and how much alcohol you have consumed. Fortunately, this is all not life-threatening, which is why it was used to treat alcoholics in America, who nicknamed it Tippler's Bane. Another brown ink cap that clusters on old tree stumps is the glistening ink cap. It tends to be more of a reddish brown compared with the grey brown of the common ink cap. Its beauty lies in the powdery scales on its pleated cap surface, which seem to glisten like tiny flakes of mica, hence its Latin name Coprinus micaceus. Probably the most striking of all is the magpie, Coprinus picaceus. Its cap has a startling black and white pattern due to the scales left on its surface from its original veil. It can occasionally be seen in numbers in some beech woods, such as Epping Forest, but also turns up on piles of wood chippings and even on old sawdust. The downside of looking so beautiful is that it can develop a fetid smell as it ages and is also thought to be poisonous. One other of the larger ink caps attracts attention, not so much for its size, but for the way it forms troops, some of several hundred individuals. This is the trooping crumble cap, Coprinus disseminatus, which starts off cream and then turns brown. It is quite possible to pick without destroying it due to its great fragility. It's quite impossible to pick without destroying it due to its great fragility. Among the many small ink caps, it is always worth searching for piano keys, Coprinus impatiens, and the little Japanese umbrella, Coprinus plicatilis. The cap of Coprinus impatiens is pleated, like many other ink caps, but in this case with alternating long and short pleats, giving the impression of piano keys. The little Japanese umbrella has a perfect miniature beauty. It is yet another ink cap that can only be observed and not touched. It looks like a tiny translucent oriental parasol, which, if picked, instantly collapses. Another species worth looking for where there is burnt ground is Coprinus lagopus, the hare's foot ink cap. Like many other ink caps, as its cap retreats, it can turn upwards, forming in this case a miniature translucent saucer. 3 other interesting species associated with dung or well-manured sites are Coprinus nivea, Coprinus narcoticus, and Coprinus cinereus. The surface of Coprinus nivea is covered in a white powdered meal, which is why it's called a snowy ink cap. Coprinus narcoticus gets its name from its strong smell of coal gas, And Coprinus cinereus is famous for its exhilarating sex life, having over 100 different mating types. Lastly, Coprinus domesticus got its specific name from its regularly turning up in the unlikely habitat of damp cellars.